Hi everyone, Robert Peake here of the Spontaneous Dungeon Master. What you're about to see is preparation for a 2-hour adventure using the one-page, one-shot toolkit. To prepare that using random tables and brainstorming, I went into this with no preconceived notions of the kind of adventure I wanted to create. But I knew I wanted to create an adventure where I've done a minimal amount of prep just to get the juicy bits in there so that I could respond in the moment in a spontaneous, fun way to how the players engaged with that world. That's the whole point of the one-page, one-shot toolkit preparation method. This is one of 3 videos. This video is all about getting ready. So you'll see my actual 22 minutes of real-time preparation for the adventure. There is a second video that'll be coming out a few days after this, which is the full 2-hour playthrough of this adventure. And I think there's some really interesting surprises and fun moments for those of you that have watched the prep video to see what happened when it actually all played out. So if you're a Dungeon Master, this is a great video to start with. You get the kind of behind the scenes look first, and then you can see how the adventure played out later. If you're a player, you may want to actually watch the playthrough first and then get a sneak peek behind the scenes at how DMs think and get ready, at least when they're using this one-page, one-shot toolkit method for their own adventures. There's a third video in this series, which is where we all gather together, players and me, the DM, and debrief it and just talk about what went in ways that we expected, what didn't, how we dealt with that. So my hope with all of this in these 3 videos is that together it gives you a real glimpse into how DMs think, how players think, kind of real behind the scenes look about how you can prepare adventures rapidly with just enough juicy detail, just enough interesting bits to get you going, and then respond spontaneously in the moment to what shows up to create a really fun, dynamic approach to role-playing. That's the idea. So we're going to dive in now to the prep. Just took 22 minutes. There's a bit of umming and ahhing and me faffing about with how to use the PDF annotation, but you'll get the idea. You'll see, that this is a real preparation for adventure. This is me and the toolkit figuring out the bare bones of what's going to happen next. So that's what you'll see now. Okay, so let's get started with this. So we need a noun, and I'm going to go ahead and use the rollable table. So let's give us a D6. Oh, that's a D8. Try again. There's a 1. Okay, 1 on the rollable table. Focus adjective is dangerous. Cool. Dangerous 6. Roll twice. So 2 foci for the nouns. A dangerous person, number 1. And a dangerous plot, number 5. All right, a person with a dangerous plot. Interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and roll with that. We're going to add in some text to the title here. A dangerous person. Okay, so somebody is a well, let's roll someone up. All right, let's get something going here by way of a roll. Let's go ahead and hit over to the NPCs list here. Yeah, let's do NPC rollable table number 1, and let's just clear that out and give me a D100 60. Who is this dangerous person with a plot? His name is Buckman Chow. Buckman Chow, heavily pierced. Okay, Buckman Chow. Buckman Chow. It's heavily pierced because... Why is he heavily pierced? Let's go over and do some... NPC attributes. Let's see. Is he young or old? I think he's sort of middle. He's got piercings. Any bonds or secrets? That sounds interesting. Let's see if we can get some bonds or secrets going for him. Let's see, what would be a bond or secret for Buckman Chow, who's dangerous and who has some kind of plot afoot. Catchphrases, insults, jokes, bonds and secrets. Let's just roll up a D100 for all of that. So 50. Okay, 20, 40, 50. on the run from pursuers. All right, he's dangerous in his own right, and he's on the run from pursuers, or perhaps the party's on the run from him. There we go. Buckman Chow is a mercenary sent to silence the party. Sent to silence someone in the party. All right, Buckman Chow, mercenary, sent to silence someone in the party here. We got our noun. We got our name. Okay. Let's talk about setting. Let's talk about the flavor for this adventure. What kind of place do we want this to be set in? I think somewhere interesting, potentially fantastical. So let's go to travel discoveries. Beautiful. All right, under travel discoveries, I'm going to roll another D100. 100 natural quicksand. Okay, we're in a location that's going to involve quicksand. I'm thinking the desert of Anarok, possibly. Over here looking at my map of the Forgotten Realms that I always have on my wall. I'm just kind of thinking, yeah, how about the Fallen Lands? Fallen Lands borders the Anarok Desert, and it looks like the kind of place that could have quicksand. So the quicksand marshes of the Fallen Lands is where this is going to be set. And so we'll pop that in here. Let's see. Quicksand marshes of the Fallen Lands. I like that. This is starting to have its own flavor. The party probably has been sent for their own mission. Let's do that. And the party doesn't know that they are themselves being hunted. So they're hunting for something. How about they're hunting for a purple worm nest? Okay, so they're hunting for a purple worm nest. Actually, let's hold off on that. Let's hold off on the mission. Let's roll the mission randomly. Let's play along here. So rollable tables for the mission. Let's go with yeah. Well, let's see what the setting. Let's see a little more about the setting. So let's give me a D6. There's a D8. There's a D6. 1. The wilderness. Okay, the Quicksand Marsh of the Fallen Lands. That's the wilderness. That's fine. Game elements mission. All right, let's do the mission. D6 5. A rescue mission. All right. Great. They're rescuing someone that's caught in the quicksand. Perfect. They're rescuing someone caught in the quicksand, or so they think. They may actually be being set up by someone. So Quicksand Marshes of the Fallen Lands. Their mission is to rescue, let's say, a caravan of precious cargo. They're rescuing a caravan of precious cargo when in reality they are being hunted by Buckman Chow, the heavily pierced mercenary who's sent to silence them. Quicksand Marshes of the Fallen Lands. What are they like? Well, let's have a look at some of the possible options that we could put in here. I'm seeing, I'm definitely seeing a kind of obviously bleak landscape. I think, all right, well, I've stumbled here on swamp encounters, and marshes are kind of swampy. So let's go ahead and let's just see if we can get any flavor out of throwing a D100 here. 76, 60, 76. Giant crocodiles. Okay. We have giant crocodiles in a quicksand? I don't know if we can, but we could reskin the giant crocodiles. Quicksand marshes of the fallen lands, inhabited by sand skimmers. So I'm going to use the giant crocodile stat block. It is desolate. There's a howling wind, which gives them dis on hearing checks probably. Obviously it's all difficult terrain, but there's the danger of being swallowed by quicksand. There's that danger of being swallowed up at all times. Okay, we've got a noun, we've got a setting, we've got a mission here. Rewards, perils. Obviously, they're going to get some. They're going to get some gold, right, for doing this. They're out to find someone. But there's also let's just see if there's something particularly interesting to the party. Let's do a treasure and magic items roll. 43 silver pieces. Meh, nah. People can get silver pieces any old where. 46. A brown diamond worth 1,000 gold pieces. All right. So there's the brown diamond is somewhere in there. So the brown diamond is a reward, obviously worth having, 1,000 gold pieces for this group that they could recover. Other rewards, the finding fee, 200 gold pieces each, so nothing to scoff at there as well. What other rewards? Well, being heroes is always a reward, right? This caravan full of precious cargo has people that have been stranded here as well. So they're not sure if the people are alive or dead. Dangers, sand skimmers, Buckman himself, and quicksand. That's plenty. That's plenty of good things and plenty of bad things for them to be getting on with. Now, what are we going to have in here? We're definitely going to have some exploration, right? It's got to be. It's an outdoor kind of place. I'm feeling like investigation. Maybe there's something unusual about this caravan. We got monsters for sure. The quicksand can function like a kind of trap. And obviously there's very likely to be a little combat going on if they confront Buckman and try to resist his attempt to, of course, kill them, which I'm assuming they will. Twists. Twists are fun. Now I get to roll a d20. 4. One of the narrators was unreliable. Okay, that could be interesting. Who set them up? Who set them up to do this mission in the Fallen Lands? And was his story indeed accurate? I think it wasn't. I think the cargo was actually not what it appeared to be. The people he's rescuing, it's not actually a caravan, a family business, but the caravan has some darker purpose, perhaps. So definitely the narrator was unreliable. Maybe the narrator set them up. Maybe the whole thing is a wild goose chase, right? That could be interesting. So let's say, yeah, let's say that there is no caravan with a family of traders to rescue the mission giver. Let's give him a name. Who's the mission giver on this? Let's go back to the good old SDM. Let's find a mission giver. Sure, rollable table 6. Any of those tables will work. So let's do a good old D100 67. Elf with matted hair named Bairn Gold Petal. Bairn Gold Petal. Was paid by Buckman to get them out to be hunted. All right. So all is set up. Bairn Gold Petal's got a lot to answer for. Where did they get set up? Where would they be? I think they were in Parnast. So we're going to start in Parnast and have them go over the hills into the Fallen Lands. The caravan was taking a dangerous route all the way up into a settlement in the far forest from the Weathercoat Forest. That's all Forgotten Realms stuff. What do we want here? This feels like a 3 acts to me. This feels like a classic 3 acts exploration. So what's the hook? We start, let's start somewhere interesting. So let's not start with Bairn Gold Petal telling them, but let's do that as a flashback. So let's start them off at the edge of the Fallen Lands. Peering over vast marshland. And watching a tree get swallowed up by quicksand, and the whole place stinks of sulfur. All right, so that's where we start them off. A bit of flair, a bit of flavor for where they are, and then from there, flashback to Bairn in the. Let's get a tavern going here. Where was Bairn? In one of these taverns. City items, city elements, taverns. Give me a D20 for at the Pilgrim's Rest. In Parnast, pleading for his cousin to be rescued as a Griffin patrol overhead spotted their caravan. So they know they're out there and they know they're alive. He's claiming this is true. It's actually not. And so now we're into our 3 acts. Act 1, gotta get into the Fallen Lands. So he gives them Act 1, he's going to give them gemstone that glows more and more brightly the closer they get. So following the gemstone into the closer they get to the caravan. Of course, that's actually not true. It is actually a tracking device for Buckman, who is not far behind them. We're going to figure out why, of course. Buckman has it out for them. Survive Buckman trying to kill someone in the party. So, Act 1 into the Fallen Lands. The party needs to make medium DC, nature, survival, perception checks to navigate using the Bairns family gemstone to track the caravan. Really, he's leading them deeper and deeper in. So that's Act 1. They're going to be making these various checks, and at some point they will encounter with the sand skimmers, whose horns protrude like shark fins in the quicksand. And so there's going to be a combat encounter. It's going to involve difficult terrain and some chance of quicksand traps. So running into a trap, running into quicksand, we'll treat it like a trap. That's Act 1. Act 2 is going to be the fake caravan. So there is a caravan out there, and they're likely going to encounter it at some point. So Act 2, they are encountering yeah, let's just do it here. They're going to encounter a caravan that's long since deceased. Dwarves. A long deceased group of dwarves, dwarven mining cargo carriers. So definitely this is not the group. It's very clear this is not the group. They're seeking, but from a distance they can see this caravan, and once they're lured in here, Buckman, will use the assassin stat block, will try to take out one member of the party, and he will make his assassination attempt. There should be a real chance that party member could at least fall unconscious, at least start having to make some death saving throws. So how are we gonna pull that off? By splitting the party with illusion spell. They may not fall for it, but it will at least let them know that he had some kind of strategy. Also, I think he's hoping that these land sharks have at least softened everyone up considerably, if not injured them to the extent that they could be susceptible to his single strike with his poisoned as poisoned crossbow dart. So I think that'll be interesting to see, how that goes. But part 3 is definitely, so there's going to be some investigation of the dwarves and their circumstances, remains, the dwarven remains, and all of that. And then finally, a shot is fired. Act 3, pursuing Buckman and learning the truth or not about their setup. Buckman has the counterpart to Bairn's tracking device gem. So they should at least, and he also has something that lets us know that he's connected to Bairn, and a ring, an elven ring with the gold petal, with a single gold petal. That's Baron's family ring. Okay, got the absolute bones of an adventure here. I've got an adventure in 3 acts. I need to figure out sort of how many sand skimmers I think I want, and a lot of these other kind of things. I also need to give some rough timings to this. An encounter, in my experience, never takes less than 45 minutes. So I'm going to say that we're going to do a couple hours on this particular adventure. So I'm going to allot at least 45 minutes for each of these 2. That is already an hour and a half. So the denouement should be pretty snappy. We should get into it in about 10, and we should finish up with pursuing Buckman in about 20 minutes. That's my rough sense of things. Things could go totally different than this, right? It could be a completely different adventure entirely. We just don't know exactly what's going to happen here. So here, let me show you the timings on this. Well, unfortunately, you can't quite see the timings. I'll put them up. I'll put them here underneath. So the hook is 10, 45 minutes for Act 1, 45 minutes for Act 2, and then 20 minutes to finish up Act 3. That is the idea. Great. Okay, I've got some basic notes. I may flesh this out, but I think I probably won't. I think I'm going to print this out and I'm going to run with it. An adventure in the quicksand-laden, swampy badlands of the Fallen Lands, trying to rescue a caravan and in fact being pursued by a bloodthirsty killer. I'm going to figure out why this is all happening, and I'm going to do so in relation to the actual party. I'm thinking one of the party members, for example, is on the run, a former gladiator stroke slave. There may be a price on his head, and Buckman Chow may actually know his former master. So the other 2 are along for the ride, but the half-orc is the target, and we're going to send him off into this nasty, sulfurous place. And we're just going to see how they fare. Should be fun. So as you saw, I prepared this adventure, and it took a grand total of 22 minutes to come up with this one-page, one-shot set of notes, which I literally just put here on my laptop next to my screen and referred to throughout the game, which you'll be seeing in a few days' time after this video. However, there were a couple of intervening days, and so in kind of the interest of full disclosure, and so you get the full picture, I was just kind of mulling over in the back of my mind in the odd spare moment this adventure. I wasn't really consciously thinking about it. I didn't take any additional notes beyond these notes, but a few things occurred to me as I went along. One was really about this noun, about Buckman Chow, and for some reason, got it into my head that Buckman Chow should actually be a hobgoblin. I thought that was interesting and a little different. And then I decided that it should actually be a female hobgoblin. And I started just kind of musing. There's this whole backstory that sort of came up about her breaking away from this honor-bound and very patriarchal society and becoming this much more chaotic assassin figure. That's about as far as I'd gotten, but I started kind of growing attached to her. And as you'll see in the playthrough, that was a mistake in some ways to get too attached to any particular NPC. But I kind of liked the flavor of all that. Her earrings were, she had one piercing for each of her kills, and she was this kind of shady, mysterious figure. I also realized, this isn't her first time with working with Baron Goldpetal to assassinate someone out in the Fallen Lands where no one can hear you scream. So I decided she had to have a really good escape mechanism planned. And in particular, I just started thinking she needs a mount. She needs a mount, something that she can, get onto and ride off into the desert. For a while, I was, for some reason, thinking of a basilisk. I liked that kind of riding on a lizard kind of thing going on. But it was actually in the game, I started looking up the basilisk, and I realized they're very slow. And so she wouldn't pick something incredibly slow and big and kind of lumbering. They would fall into the quicksand pretty easily. And I didn't want to introduce that whole you can get turned to stone element at this point. I thought we had enough going on here. One of the big, big mistakes I made early on as a DM is just cram interesting stuff into my adventure prep, rather than just letting a few simple threads play out, and just being an assassin with poison-tipped crossbow and all of that seemed like enough. So she needed a mount. She needed something she could get away on that was suitable to the desert, that could skitter across the quicksand pits. And so it had to be a giant scorpion, as you'll see plays out during the adventure. Apart from that, everything else, really, that's just kind of all I had, all I went into. You'll see there's some stuff that never came up, like the brown diamond. There's other stuff that went kind of exactly as I was thinking it would. It's a real mix. There's a lot of interesting things that happen. This video is coming out in a couple days' time. You'll get to see for yourself. Spoiler alert: someone loses their shoes, and someone else is going to lose their head in this adventure. Obviously, neither of which showed up on this piece of paper. So do check out the adventure coming out in a few days' time. And I hope this was useful for DMs or for anyone wanting a sneak peek behind the scenes at how you can prepare an adventure fairly rapidly that still leaves a lot of agency and a lot of room for surprise for everyone that's taking part in that adventure.